This conference will now be recorded.
We do have 3 amendments to add, which is one is 6A1, approve the summary of the candidates ordinance to be published in the paper, and then also 7E, Officer Tyler's resignation, which I'm not sure if we should approve. But,
Oh, there he is.
So that's 2 amendments we need to add to
Thank you.
papers for you.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with those 2 amendments.
There it is.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Public comment portion. Individuals may address the city council about any items of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes.
Any public comment portions? Yes, sir. Yeah.
My name is Nathan Fishbach. I live over at Sugarloaf Lane. I emailed Brian earlier this week about the situation of my wife and I's consumption of the water in our house. So just this, I know we kind of laid out the situation, but my wife and I moved into the new house very recently, and we thought everything was up in order, and they had 2 water tanks in our basement, but apparently one of them isn't necessary, but we weren't disclosed of that at the time. So we turned both on, thought things were working, and we kind of went about our day. But my wife was checking the bill, and we noticed that the first one was 19,000 gallons for last month, and we paid that in full, which was around $210 roughly. And we called, right when we saw that 19,000, we called the very next day, and I asked what the current reading was, and turns out it was 34,000. So in the process of 2 months, we burned almost 50,000 gallons, which for 2 people is quite a lot, I would say. I was talking to my family. They were very adamant that that seems like quite a lot for 2 people. My family of 3 who lives there, they use about 10,000 in 3 months. So it seemed a little strange. So we thought maybe there's a big leak, maybe there's something wrong. And when we had someone come from the city and they put dye in our toilets to see if there was something that was causing that. No leaks, nothing like that. And I thought, well, we're not seeing 50,000 gallons of water in our basement, so it had to be something. So the only other source that we thought could be was the water tank. So we checked that one, and after doing some research, it turns out that the one on the left, which was the bigger of the 2, which was doing all of the damage, is turns out it was only used, I guess, for well water when we called the company. And so we're kind of curious why the previous tenant had it in the first place. I don't know. We're not familiar with their situation, but in the inspection report when we bought the house in June, didn't state that there was any issues with that. So we just turned both on, not knowing. So the only thing I'm really asking is if it was possible to.
Firefighter, sorry.
Sorry.
Thought it was 5 minutes or what?
I know, right? I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not
time's
rambling
up.
for that long. Sorry. I'm not asking to wipe away at all, because that's would be insane. But is it possible to do an average or just some kind of leniency for new home buyers that we fixed the problem? It's never going to happen again. It's just kind of a one-time weird. We just didn't know what we were doing. We're not of our element. If not, I totally get it. I just thought I would try, because we're just trying to make it here in our first couple months, and this is a lot to take on in the first couple months, but I understand.
Mike, I assume Ronnie was the one that went out there and checked it. And obviously we did everything so it wasn't that. We obviously know it was the backflow. I know we've done a couple in the past. I don't know what council's opinion is on that.
Well, it's like what you had mentioned, Troy Ness's thing. Is it like that where it just wasn't Troy's where it went
No.
in somewhere and
Yeah.
then
Nope, this is a different situation. This water was actually, it went through the meter and went down.
it did?
Yeah, where Troy's was going through the meter and then back. through the meter and
And through and back.
So it never
okay.
was gallons used.
You
And
never
keep,
used it, it was
keep in
just.
mind, we get audited and we have to account for gallons of lost water.
Okay,
So somebody's paying for it, basically.
okay.
In doing research, I didn't know. From the meeting minutes, it sounded familiar, but again, I'm no expert, so I don't know. I'm just trying to, if possible, but sorry.
Yeah, no, it was good research.
I can sympathize with your situation. The difficulty is that the water went through, so there's the cost of sending it there and then the cost of treating all that water, and it's not fair to put it on the rest of the taxpayers because it still has to be a cost charged. So I think there was a mention of a payment plan that could extend that so you're not facing that up front. So, yeah.
I guess I'd agree with Kevin on that. And if we could get a payment plan, if that would work or something, if it worked something out.
Kim, how have payments plans worked in the past? If we did a payment plan, turn your mic on. Don't have one? Oh. Thank you.
Usually we set up a time, so whatever the balance is that is in question, we can divide it over a period of months and then add it to the regular bill amount. And we can, if everything's paid in full, we can work with the penalty situation, so there's no penalty charge for that outstanding balance, which I absolutely get if you're making your payments on time. So Miranda would work with whomever and set it up. So
What's the current bill at right now, do you know?
We haven't looked, because the situation is when we found out it was that high, we assumed it was either it was 1,900 and we thought it was that. So when we called, we just asked what it was currently at and we found out it was 34,000. So we're kind of trying to do quick back of the envelope math and it's going to be probably $400+ I would bet.
the 19,000 gallon was like 204.56. So they use 34. I mean, I think it would be high to double it because you wouldn't be paying the minimum, but it would be, or the base fee more than once, but it would be $350 probably, right around in that neighborhood.
We paid that 1,900 or the 19,000 in full. So it's be just 2 months in a row that we're larger amount.
It's better than, my mom just had one because a guy had a leaky toilet and didn't tell anyone. And it was $960 in Rochester.
I mean, and the
Thanks,
part of
Steve.
what we try not to do is set a precedence. If we set a precedence, then we get more of them. So, I mean, I know Troy Ness was a little bit a different situation. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where we're at, council, is that we don't want to set that precedence. I mean, excuse my French, it's kind of shitty, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things that we hate to set precedents on something like that. So.
We'll definitely work with you and don't, no, I would say no.
I would say I'm okay with no penalty.
No penalties,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and then whatever you want to work with Miranda, I don't know what we normally do for payment plans, if it's 2-3 months, 4 months or whatever, but. Yeah, I mean, as long as I mean, some people work out payment plans and they're still late, so.
Yeah, no, we never
Yeah,
missed a
yeah,
payment at all.
yeah.
So it's just our first slight issue with the
Yeah.
water softener. So we turned that off, it's fixed it. So it's,
Perfect.
yeah. So it's, yeah, it's bump on the road that we didn't expect for, but no one does. So
Yeah.
my only last thing, I don't want to cut into more time. I know 5 was the cutoff, but I was talking with one of my close friends. She works with the city of Cottage Grove and she was asking, would this throw off? I know there's winter averages and summer averages. I'm not sure how that works. No, it
We
wouldn't
don't
throw
do
in.
too much with averages that way, so it shouldn't be any problem with us.
Thank you.
Sorry for the issues.
Pale and we'll move forward.
Perfect, thank you. Any more public comments? I will close the public comment portions and we'll jump to 4, consent agenda. All items listed in the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be one separate discussion on these items unless council member requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and be considered a normal sequence on the agenda. Everybody looks like we got a few pay requests, accounts payable, minutes, stuff like that, nothing crazy.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. We will jump to the public hearings meeting, public hearings, ordinance 2024-07, ordinance of the city of Zumbrota to regulate cannabis businesses. Brian?
Yes, you've got my, my whole write-up there. Basically, we have delegated our, first of all, you've got a revised cannabis ordinance in front of you. Matt, make a few changes, last second changes that didn't get into the electronic version here. And you've also got a summary that'll be placed in the paper, and we'll ask you to approve that too when we get to that point. But, and a couple of typo changes, true to form for me, a couple of typos, you know, it's, I've been known to make a few of those from time to time. We delegated registration authority to Goodhue County, as you know, but we still need to have an ordinance in place to regulate time, place, and manner restrictions. The commissioners were adamant that they wanted us to get something in place because they'd feel terrible if they had to approve a registration and it was too close to a school or a park or whatever else. So we wanted to get this in front of you. We had the first reading at the last meeting, and then this is the public hearing. And so, yeah, if there's any more questions, anything, or I guess that might be next during the approval portion, because this is the public hearing, so. I don't see a whole lot of public here.
I don't. So we'll close the public portion of this, and we will jump to unfinished business. Approve the ordinance of regulated cannabis businesses. So we just need a motion on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin asked a couple of questions along the way, and I sent it out a couple of times asking, let me know if you've got, excuse me, got any questions. The whole cannabis thing, I don't know that there's anybody that has a complete understanding. But we do have a good understanding of where we'll allow it, the times, the distances from schools, parks. It can't be, you can't do it in public places or public places of public accommodation. I didn't get real detailed in itemizing any parks, things like that, because it kind of covers all in those definitions. Basically, I suppose in your backyard is where it'll be, where you can do it. We do have some special event language in there. I inquired about that, if we could just not do special events or temporary cannabis events, and was told that, nope, it's got to be in there. So basically it says that it needs to follow the ordinance. And I think that's about it. Matt, help me out.
Other than, we should codify it into the next chapter of the sort of business regulation, like that, tobacco and edibles, a few other things. So this is chapter 115, and then county temporary event. It said we can add other standards, and one of the suggestions was either restricting or prohibiting consumption. So the vision there is no consumption, and I don't know, I guess that could be changed or modified tonight or down the road, but I don't know, I was kind of thinking if there's an event and people are going to travel there, maybe we don't necessarily want to allow consumption if they're going to be traveling. So I put that in there. And then another thing was, what was the one right after that, Brian?
Or right before it was the shall.
Yeah, right. So if they meet if an applicant meets all the requirements, then basically the city has to allow the temporary permit. Can still be discretionary and say, we don't like these, so we're not going to allow it regardless.
And the original one, I had may in there, give a little bit more, but that would be a hard one to argue, so.
There was one other condition though, either before or after the on-site consumption. You have in front of you there, Brian?
I do.
H your hot card. Thank you.
Yeah, 'cause we were in E and then we were in H.
Oh, not in a public place or place of public accommodation. So similar to the prohibitions of use in public places, 115.6. I think temporary events maybe can restrict for public places.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution or ordinance 2024-07.
Second.
Any further discussions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Let's do approve the summary of the cannabis ordinance to be published in the paper.
Second.
Any further discussions?
What all council needs to do is, all we did is sort of cut out some of the miscellaneous definitions, and council needs to find that the summary clearly informs the public of the intent and effect of the ordinance and has to be approved by at least 4/5 vote.
So do we have to post basically this whole thing in the paper?
The summary, if you send the summary, that's what would be
Oh,
published.
Yep, I'll send that to the paper first thing in the morning and.
That was my motion, what Matt said.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Matt.
Pat, did we need to do roll call on an ordinance?
No, that's just on a resolution.
Gotcha.
Unfinished business 2024-40, approving the final budget levy collectible in 2025. Kimberly.
Nothing. We were very nice and
Kim.
thoughtful about that.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's
For
right.
your leisurely readings.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out, obviously, to Kim. I know Kim puts a couple hours a year on the budget, a couple
Just
thousand.
a couple.
And I want to thank the city staff and everybody in the council for the hard work that we've done again for one more budget year, and we'll start again in April.
Pretty sure Kim's got a 2026 budget started. No, not quite yet.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-40.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Joan? Kevin?
This is a resolution,
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
2024.
roll call.
He's doing it right
That's
now.
what I'm doing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not Kevin.
I did that one time too, Kevin.
I meant you, Kevin.
I have not been sleeping much today, so.
He's been up a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I passes
100%.
5-0-0. Thank you. Let's go to new business, Driscoll Subside, South Side Properties Minor Subdivision. Kurt?
Yes, Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing. It was an interesting topic for the city of Zumbrota on December 10th to consider two things. First was a minor subdivision of these three parcels which are listed. And you guys have a map, a variety of maps that can show you. The three parcels are Driscoll Southside Properties, and all three are on the southeast side of the Custom Iron property. If that's approved, then the city council, let's see, the parcels would be joined with deed restrictions to two citizens' yards. One of them would be Leah Witchman, and the other one would be Jennifer Walter and Glenn Proudfoot's property. If those are accepted, then the newly created parcels would need to be rezoned from I2 to residential 1. So what we did is we subdivided Driscoll's land with the help of a survey. And then those two parcels which are created will go to, one of them will go to Leah Witchman, as you can see on your map. And the second one on the south side will go to Jennifer Walters. There will be deed restriction for both properties due to both of them are in different subdivisions. The homes right now are located in Meyerhofer Fourth Subdivision, which is R1. Driscoll Southside Properties is not, and you can see the list of the subdivision there. The minor subdivision and rezone were discussed at the November 12th meeting. A public hearing was set for December 10th. A signed certificate of survey by SEH or Christopher Mumm was submitted to City Hall on November 21st. All applications were submitted and paid. The Witchmans and Proudfoot/Walter were the only citizens at the public hearing. Stemming from the public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approving the minor subdivision of the 3 parcels from Driscoll Southside Properties and then joining the new parcels with deed restrictions to Leah Witchman and Jennifer Walter and rezoning those 2 from I1 to R1. And it was approved by a vote of 6-0-0. If you have questions on that, I could hopefully answer those.
Really all they're doing is taking unusable land and putting back to the homeowners, right? And just making their lots bigger.
Right. Yep. Overall.
And I think Morgan, wants to build a shed for a hobby of his, is kind of the idea.
Walters.
What he wants to do. So my question was, I tried to attend the public hearing, but then I did dad duty earlier than I thought. So I think my question was, is he running a business out? He can't do that in R1. So he can have one customer or one person come.
Right. No, he has no intent of doing business.
So
And
that was my question, because it's in my neighborhood. So
there'll be no separate access at all to that building as well. But the building would have to fit the regulations as usual.
They have to come in on like where Jennifer Walters' driveway is or that property. They can't just put an access into his new shed. It's gonna go on the Walters property and then he'd have to go over that way.
And it's gonna be interesting too, because that's a pretty severe drop off on that.
there's a big burn.
Yeah.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome.
Let's do a 2025 CETA contract. Brian.
Yes, as you know, we're looking at a little reorganization, taking applications for the deputy city administrator to take over planning and zoning and some other things. 9 applications, by the way, so far. But with that, it's time to approve a CETA contract. Now, we will not be ready to move on from the 40-hour CETA contract until we have a deputy here and that person is up to speed and trained in and all of that. So it could be 6 months before we would want to go to a 72-hour or 42 or 24-hour contract, 3 days a week. Get the cost messed up. But anyway, so what I'm asking you to approve tonight is the 40-hour contract. And then when we decide it's time to go to the 24-hour contract, we will handle that at that time.
Did we figure into our budget some overlap there if we hire someone, it may be several months before that and plus the CETA contract? Did we account for that? Okay. Well, the training, if it's going to take up to 6 months, I didn't remember discussing that. And
it might be, we did discuss when we were going to hire, if it was going to be right away or later on. But yeah, I mean, you're right, there's going to be some overlap. And I don't know, hopefully it's not that long. After we hire, hopefully it's a month. But 2 months, 6 weeks, it all depends. But yes, you're right, there'll be some overlap. You're right, probably not 6 months.
do you have a question, Joe?
No, I mean, that was kind of.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the CETA contract.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. 7C, new city attorney approved. I guess it was Bob and I and Kim and Brian. We interviewed 2 city attorneys. They both interviewed well. I think after our meetings and we talked about it amongst the group, we went, we really was impressed with not Kennedy Grader. No, sorry, I had it right here in front of me.
Flaherty and-
Flaherty and Hood. Yeah, this is Mike Flaherty and I think he's going to be our main attorney.
Yes, Todd, not mayor.
Yeah. Perfect. Got it.
So I can say a few things.
Yeah, sure can.
So do you have a contract in the packet?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've got the routine.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, I can answer them. But basically, just want to give a brief overview of the firm for the people that weren't at the interview. So our firm specializes in municipal law. We represent about 35 cities in Minnesota. I personally represent about 10 in southeastern Minnesota, including many that you might know: Caledonia, Orinoco, Wabasha, St. Charles, Lewiston, Rolling Stone, Altura, Minnesota City, Goodview. I'm probably missing another one, but so this is all our firm does. I've worked at the firm for 15 years. I'm a shareholder and I live in Rochester. So this was a good one for me because I like to, on a snowy day, it's easy to get here or easier to get here. And I talked to, so that's, we handle all areas of municipal law. The one unique thing about your contract is Brian said the council was interested in a flat fee retainer. And that's not typically how we charge. Typically, we just charge hourly for our services. But there was a request for some consistency in billing so that you know how much you're going to pay every month. Some months you might use a lot of legal services. Some months you might not use so many, but it'll be a flat amount for anything that's included within the contract, which is basically all general municipal advice. The only things that aren't included are litigation. So we end up having to do litigation. That would be extra, which is rare, but it does come up. I'm personally involved in a few litigation matters now for cities, but they don't come up that often. And then labor and employment. If you need specialized labor and employment lawyers, we have a whole team of lawyers that's one of our largest practice areas. We have a whole team of lawyers that do that. I don't do it personally for a number of reasons. The main reason is when there's employment actions taken against people that I work with, I'd like to have a different lawyer do it. Because I know I know the staff and get to know people. And then also they're just specialized in that area. They only practice in that area. And then any other, we offer other specialty services like environmental law. If you have issues with your wastewater facility, that would be extra. That's even more rare, but it could come up for you. So that's what's within the scope of services. I talked to Brian and I would attend all your meetings within that retainer fee, and that includes your city council meetings and your planning and zoning meetings. And if you had an EDA meeting, I go to those meetings for other cities, but not EDA so much, but you might have one where you want me to attend, that's fine. That's basically the overview. Personally, in addition to that, I'm the prosecutor for the city of Winona and the city of New Ulm, and I have other lawyers that help me do that work, but I supervise that work. So I'm kind of a criminal and civil attorney. And so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those at this time. If you don't have any questions, that's even better.
Yeah.
I already like the way these meetings are run. This is good. You guys are straight to the point.
Was it Rhonda?
Morgan.
Morgan,
yeah. So then, and I have a number of assistant attorneys, so I don't do all the work personally. I just can't be in every place at the same time, but we have 5 different associate attorneys or senior attorneys that aren't shareholders like me that help with the work. And I've selected Morgan Asbill. She'll be the one that's going to work with all of you more than others. If Morgan's on vacation or whatever, I might assign something to a different attorney, but all that's included within your retainer. Bryce and Morgan came to the interview and met Bob and Todd and the other interview panel. And so she'll be working with us. And then we have paralegals too that will help do some of the document prep and other work that I have them do on occasion. Realistically, we don't use paralegals all that much, but I personally approve everything that I do for each of the cities. Even if I use another attorney or a paralegal, I review everything and take responsibility for everything. essentially, so. And then there'll be, the other attorney would be Patrick Vollmer. He wasn't able to attend, but he would be if Morgan can't do it, it would be Patrick. And he's a good lawyer. They're both good lawyers, so. Yeah, any questions?
Just one question, I think we had kind of talked about it, but if, like you say, planning and zoning, like, say it's crappy weather day or whatever, you would do it virtually or
Very much prefer to do it virtually all the time, but.
Oh, yeah, so that would be.
You're a little unique
best.
though, that I live closer to you than other cities that I represent, like Caledonia, that's a drive.
Something that they really wanted you here for, that it was some complicated thing, then.
And in fact, in Caledonia, they have a major lawsuit with their wastewater facility construction that got way awry. And so I've been going to meetings there, driving there. But this one's a lot closer to my house. It's 30 minutes. So I don't mind, if you want me to come, it's not as big of a deal, I guess is what I'm saying. But I prefer to do Zoom or whatever you use. Yeah, that would be my preference.
We've been a little spoiled. Matt's like 3 blocks away. So.
Yeah, I can't beat that. Can't compete there.
Any more questions on Mike? We're glad to have him. We're hate to lose Matt, but we'll get to that topic here in a couple minutes.
Well, I'm happy. Thank you for showing the trust in me. We'll do a good job for you. We'll work hard and do a good job. And you can always, I guess one other thing would be if you have a question for me, email is the best way. I mean, I'm happy to talk about something too, but, or email me asking for a phone call and then I'll get back with you. Just leave a number where I can call you and then I'm happy to do that too.
Just need to approve entering into a contract with Flaherty and Hood and then appoint next meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Glad to have you part of the city of Zumbrota.
Yeah, thank you.
Fee schedule discussion and set public hearing. Brian?
Yes, that time of year again too, and look at the fees. You can see I highlighted in red which fees are proposed to be changing, and I also left the old fees in there with a strike through just so you can see what they were and what they're going to. Water was 3%, Kim, is that right? And sewer was 3.5%. So those fees are reflected in there and those changes. Associated with those, that kind of carries through all those water charges. One that did go up is the stormwater fee. Went from $3 to $6, or was proposed, excuse me, to go from $3 to $6. We are way behind on storm stuff. We need to catch up on that. Even with an increase like this, our total rates are quite a bit lower than the area. So we need that for catching up and getting some critical things done. Mike and his team have identified, we asked him to do a kind of a plan, kind of similar to what we do for the roads on what needs to be done. And it's quite a long list of things. And some of them are critical. We've got areas that are, being undermined and the water's going where it shouldn't be going. On 5th Street there, for instance, where that bridge is or that culvert is, just up from the library, there's water going under the curb and down in there and through the walls and everywhere. So stuff like that needs to be fixed up. So that's why we're proposing a little bigger increase on that fee so we can get some of that stuff done. And again, our total rates are quite a bit lower than even the area, even with doing that. We've got the new campsites that'll be up and running so that you can see the proposed changes from the park board on the seasonal campsite fees, the primitive fee, and the electric water sites, and then added the electric water and sewer sites, and then we've had a lot of campers coming in and dumping their waste in our waste receptacle, I guess. That's probably not the right term, Mike, but so the park board decided, well, that's okay, but they should be, that's really for use for the people using the campground. So if someone comes in there, well, they can pay a little fee if they want to dump there. And I don't know, Mike, if you have any more on that, those things. Those were the proposed fee changes for 2025. And we'll, that's just your first look at them, and then we will have I gotta ask you to set the public hearing. I guess, don't I?
January 2nd, is it?
Yep.
Think of their next one, January 2nd, at
January
what,
2nd.
6:10?
Yep.
So we just need a motion to set that up.
So moved.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. We're gonna move Tyler to F, because that should have been F. We'll dump the E, the ARPA dollars, Brian, motion.
Yes. The ARPA dollars. Okay. So. Our spending at the 11/21 meeting. And then proposed spending to spend up the dollars that we have. Looking at doing LED fixtures, so that'll have a payback, of course, because that's going to be energy savings over time. Plus our old lights are terrible. Most of us sit there with lights off because they just beat down on you. So we're looking for an indirect lighting fixture. And that's going to run about $8,000. There's a whole bunch of them out in the police department as well. So all the 2x4 light fixtures that you see in the building, both sides, are proposed to be replaced with this. And then with our new flooring in here, and then we're gonna paint an accent strip down below. We'd like to replace the blinds in here. They're old and ugly and smelly and dirty, and so that's the blind quote there, the $5,200. And again, I need to get one more quote. I haven't gotten that yet. I can't get the other place that I called to call me back, but this will be worst case scenario, again, spending. And then the cameras, at the last meeting, we talked about the possibility of changing out cameras at the brush site, and it was discussed that you'd like me to go back and look at what it would cost to do cameras for the library and the park. One over here in the library to kind of capture the rest of the area, and in light of our just recent vandalism over there. And then also one on the pole down by Kids Kingdom in the park. We would do a 4-camera, it's one camera, but it's got 4 lenses, and you point them the directions you want to. So you cover the whole area, but it's got a little better zooming capability than the fisheye lenses that we have on the corners out here. Along with that, I got speaking to the gentleman from Grove Security, and he suggested we shoot the Wi-Fi from this building over to the camera at the library, because the backbone is here. He said it'll be a lot smoother, work a lot better that way. So that was a little over $1,000. And then I asked him about can we shoot Wi-Fi at the bridge too? We can't put an antenna on the outside of the bridge. But he said, well, if we tuck it's just a small antenna inside the bridge, kind of behind one of the cross columns or the structure, he said, we can shoot it right there. And the reason that is important is we pay $35 a month for a carriage point in there now that we will no longer have to pay for. So it's going to be a little bit of time to pay, a couple of years to pay back roughly $1,000 or a little more. But we can use that carriage point on the pole for the down by Kids Kingdom. Because we can't shoot Wi-Fi through the trees. They'll go miles. I mean, you can shoot it for miles if it's uninterrupted. So anyway, so we'll save $35 a month. We'll have Wi-Fi both places, cameras down there and here, which I think is important. We've already had issues with that bathroom up there. And to be able to keep an eye on Kids Kingdom, we'll have enough range. We can see some things in the parking lot. I know the police have had some issues with some smash and grab things in cars that have been parked there. We'll be able to get at least a visual on vehicles coming in there. I know we won't be able to get faces that far away probably, but they're good cameras, but they're not cheap. And what I'm asking for on here is the difference between the 18,000 you approved people at the last meeting and what the actual cost came back at roughly 22,300. That also includes 10-year licenses for the cameras. So for 10 years, we have to do nothing other than, if something goes wrong with them, they come out, fix it or replace it. We've already had, I think, one replaced because the housing leaked and it got wet. So it's expensive, but it is the system that was chosen by a committee, technology committee, who looked at cameras 3 years ago or whenever it was. And then the system can be, that's why we chose this one. We can grow the system, and it's got some of the features that make them more usable. You know, it's been talked about expanding to downtown at some point. Maybe getting some license plate recognition ones at different places. So over the years, we can expand more into this system. But so that's that. And then I threw in here some miscellaneous technology, a little bit of productivity stuff for myself and the staff. But that can be tossed out depending on where we end up with the dollars here. And then we got talking about a large format scanner because we've got a ton of plans back here. And every time we do a road project, the engineer and contract, they want to see plans for those areas. And then we either send our plans with our city engineer to scan, or I bring them down to Fran's Repro and have them scanned down there. So we thought, well, let's look at lease or buying a large format scanner. I put 5,000 in here. I'm a little shy as I work through it. A lease would be 9,000 and a purchase would be about 8,000. So it's a little bit more. So whether we can fit it in here, I'm not sure, depending on how some second quotes come out. Plus, we did pad some of these numbers a little bit to have a little bit of room, round it up. So there are some extra dollars, but I don't know if there's that much extra dollars. But what I'd like council to do is approve an amount that's over what we were allocated, knowing that we're going to whittle it back from that amount. We're not going to spend more than you authorize us to spend, which would be the full allotment of the ARPA dollars, unless you direct us to move forward with, say, the scanner, and we'll pay the extra $4,000 out of whatever other fund that Kim magically comes up with. So yeah, that's the ask. Is it's a little bit over. I know it's over, but there's some fluff in there at different places, and we just want to make sure we're able to use all the dollars.
And we won't
Not come down to the last second here, because this is my last chance to get any approvals from you on what we can spend and what we can spend it on. From here, I can go work on a couple of more second quotes. That'll be less. If they're not, then this will be worse. So if that makes sense, I think it's good. We
Want a
stuck to our.
motion to approve the full amount of ARPA dollars.
Well, I'd like a motion to approve what's presented here.
Oh, okay.
And no, but then
Not
we.
to exceed.
Yeah, if we do want to exceed, we'll bring it back after the first of the year.
Okay.
But at least I've got the leeway to sign contracts and obligate the dollars before the end of the year, which we have to do. You know, I won't obligate us to anything more than what we have allocated,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
kind of. I think that's fine. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 500. Thanks, Brian and city staff on getting those quotes and stuff. I will jump to 7F. Officer Tyler Evanson's resignation. We kind of knew it was in the works, but I know I actually rode along with him, was it last Tuesday? No, last Thursday? For 3.5 hours, and we kind of talked about that. I don't know why he wants to go to International Falls versus Umbrota, but he's closer to his fiance, so I understand that. But I know when Tyler came, he was a little green, and he's blossomed to a pretty good officer. So I'm proud of you, excited for your new adventure, and this is just his organization that he's going to go work for State Patrol, and I hope you get beat up at boot camp. He said he's got it for 3 months at Fort Riley. I'm like, oh man, why do you want to do that? So this
Well,
is
good luck to you, but we'll miss you.
yeah, he's been.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
We'll miss you, Tyler.
So I just need a motion to well,
I'm not making it.
I told him, I said, what if we don't let you go?
well, I'll make that motion to approve his resignation. Not that I want to, but
It's good for him, so.
yeah, it is. It is. All in favor?
I
Opposed? Passes 500. Thanks, Tyler. We will jump to reports. I am going to do it a little bit different because I have a couple of thank yous to do. First to Sarah. Sarah got, I think we'll take it out of the thing. Sarah served the council from 2009 to 2024. Sarah has served on the Zumbrota City Council for the past 16 years. We will miss her. Probably more than you guys because I've worked with her the longest. She is the longest tenured council member, so we're losing a lot of experience on that. She has acknowledged on how and why things were handled in the past, and we will miss that inherited knowledge. Thank you, Sarah, for all your years of service for our community. You can be very proud of the things that you have accomplished during your time as a city council member. Over the years, Sarah has been on council liaison, serving on the library board, streets and sidewalks, planning commission, acting mayor, EDA. And I know Sarah has really helped me out grow as council member and now mayor, and she still kind of keeps me in line on a few things. Hey, you can't do that, got to do this. So I know City of Zumbrota is going to miss Sarah on council, your knowledge, and kind of keeping city staff and myself and other members, hey, we can't do that, or we should do that, or think that. So I appreciate it, and you will be missed.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah.
And then I got one more.
See.
Matt Rockney, I'll come to you. You can sit right there. Matt's been with the city since 1997 as Matt, or as the city attorney from 1997 to 2024. Matt has served as the city of Zumbrota city attorney for the past 27 years. We will miss Matt. He and the Rockney family have been involved in the city government for many years. 2 mayors in the family and 3 city attorneys. Matt is always available when we needed him, often taking work home at night, vacation, so he can provide guidance to us first thing in the morning. It is going to be a big change for the city of Zumbrota to someone other than the Rockney as a city attorney. Everybody knows Rockney. He's been around. We've thrown out between 70 and 100 years, but everybody knows the Rockneys. Matt, I am sure we will still be calling you once in a while with questions because Mike will be on vacation. No, I just added that. And have more knowledge of city ordinance and zoning ordinances here in Zumbrota than anyone else. Thank you, Matt, for your years of service to the city of Zumbrota. And I know the Rockney will be missed. So here's a little token. I kind of was impressed by this. Yeah, I won't even take it out, but here's a little plaque for Matt Rockney for the city attorney for 27 years.
Big shoes.
Yeah.
More like the rings, right?
So that's my report. And I didn't even get too teary-eyed, so that's even better. Brian, you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, just an update on the pool. We're working on design. We've had our first design meeting to answer a bunch of questions on the pool design. We're working on fitting the climbing walls in there. We spent quite a bit of money on those climbing walls, so we want to incorporate those in there. So the pool footprint might change just a little bit. We ran into some space issues, possibly. They're taking a look at the actual wall that we have to see if the space clearances requirements are a little different than what they had in there. But and we talked about the type of building and the spaces within the building and storage. We had an old lifeguard with us. Well, not an old lifeguard. I don't want to call her old. A former lifeguard. And yeah, so there was quite a bit of discussion on what lifeguards need for storage and things like that. So yeah, it's moving along, and we're still working on different efforts to raise the rest of the 1.6 million. I think we're getting close to 400,000 now raised. The VFW is going to be doing a pancake feed. Todd's working on putting together a comedy night in February or somewhere in there. We have a few more ideas as well, and the committee is going to start getting out and visit bigger businesses, just to talk about the benefits of the pool and see if we can get some more help. We've got a little ways to go, but we're hopeful still that we can get there by spring and get this thing rolling before we encounter any more inflation. So
That it?
I think that's it, yeah.
Perfect. Matt, do you want to do any more reports on your last one?
I told Brian that, well, my memory is maybe not quite as good as it used to be. I'd still be available for it. I feel like I'm now stepping into the role of like the old Jim Wedge of the road. Tapping into my memory for the last 27 years. I'll be available. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Officer Tyler, do you have anything to add?
Not a whole lot, regretful that I'm leaving, but it's a good opportunity I'm taking advantage of. Going up north, a whole lot of snow and trees and next step in my career. And I'm grateful for all the opportunities I was afforded to work for the city.
Perfect. You'll be missed. Thanks, Tyler. Kim, you have anything? Mike?
I just want to mention that coming up, and I can't remember what day it is, but in January, I've got proposals out for our well maintenance. That's new to some of you probably. So every other year, we pull one of our wells, and that'll be coming in.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, Mike. Sarah, your last report?
Oh, I just am grateful for, that I was able to serve the community like I have for so long and the friendships and just learned a lot and I will miss it, I'm sure, but it's okay to have a break. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah. Bob? Joan?
I'm gonna miss you, Sarah. And thank you for all the years that.
You're still going to come and see me on Thursdays.
Yeah, we know where to find her.
All the years that you gave to the city. Very nice.
Kevin?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Meeting adjourned.
Good.